Good day, my dear grade 4 learners. I hope you are all doing fine. Welcome to today's social studies class. Our topic for today is the crop farmers. To start off, let's look at this picture. What do you see? Yes, I see a group of people. I bet you see them too. Ask yourself, why do they dress like this? From which ethnic group are they from? What tribe are they? Yes, they are definitely from the Kavango ethnic group. You might be part of the Kavango ethnic group as well. Now let's take a look at another picture. I also see a group of people. Notice how they dress. What tribe do they belong to? Yes, they belong to the Ovambo tribe, the Ovambo ethnic group. Some of you are also part of this ethnic group. Now ask yourself, other than the two ethnic groups, the two tribes being Namibian, what other thing do they have in common? Take a wild guess. Yes, they are crop farmers. Today we are going to talk about the crop farmers. And the crop farmers are part of our early communities. Remember, in the last class we talked about the herders. And in the class before that, we talked about the hunters and gatherers. Now we are going to talk about the crop farmers. Now, who were the crop farmers? In about 700 AD, the Bantu speakers settled in the Kunene and the Okavango rivers. Why did they settle there? Yes, because the rivers keep the land wet, and the land then later becomes good for farming. So they settled there. They kept cattle and sheep, but farmed some of the land. So they decided, you know what, we are going to keep some sheep, some cattle, but also we are going to farm. We are going to plant mahangu. We are going to plant maize. We are going to grow them for us to eat. They also made iron tools and used iron hoes for farming. So these people used iron tools. They made iron tools and they used them also to help them in farming. The women gathered fruits and carried water. This was part of the women's jobs, apart from keeping and raising children. The women also grew mahangu, sorghum, maize meal, and pumpkin. For those who don't know what sorghum is, I don't know what you call it in your language, but in our language we call it masangu. It is sort of like reddish in color or purplish in color, and it's very similar to the mahangu. Mahangu in English is called millet. So the women planted the mahangu, the masangu, which is the sorghum, and maize, and also pumpkin. And like Miss Luango mentioned earlier, their main job was to look after their kids. Now, what did the men do? The men brought food home, apart from what the women brought, because the men hunted. They hunted animals. And the men were also judges. Apart from the Ovambo and the Kavango, there are also many tribes in Namibia that were crop farmers. In their midst, in the middle of them, we get the Ovabanderu. Part of the Hereros were also crop farmers. And then we also get the ones that come from Zambezi, where we get the Masuvia and where we get the Silozi and so on. I'm sure many of you are from the Zambezi as well. This means that your ancestors were crop farmers. Your great-grandparents were crop farmers. Now, here is a picture of a crop farmer's clan. And the one that we have here is the Ovambo clan, or just an example of their homestead. We can see here that the Ovambo were crop farmers who moved to Namibia, and they lived and are still living in the northern part of Namibia, although most of them migrated. This is an Ovambo homestead. This picture here is an example of an Ovambo homestead. You can see that there are fences around the wooden huts and thatched roof. You can see the thatched roofs there, the roofs made out of grass. And the huts were mainly used as bedrooms, cooking areas, which are kitchens, and also living areas for grain storage. So these huts that you see here, they served many purposes. Some served as bedrooms for people to sleep in. Others were cooking areas, which we are having now our modern day kitchen. Although some of our parents still like this style of living, where we have our kitchen outside, a hut where we can cook whatever we want to cook. Yes, but this is a practice that was given from years back. So apart from the cooking place, the kitchen, they also had a storage area, like a storeroom. After their farming, they gathered their maize meal, their sorghum, their millet, and then they put it in the storage areas for keeping, so that they could keep it for other times. Now, I hope you understood the content, because after this we have a classwork. The classwork is to explore the life of the crop farmers. Now you have two questions here. How was the life different from the Iron Age farmers how was the life for Iron Age farmers compared to the groups that were herders only? Remember that the herders, we talked about them in the previous lesson, so you have an idea of how the herders lived. I also would like to remind you that it doesn't mean that if the hereros were only crop farmers, they were not herders as well. Yes, we talked about in the previous class that the hereros were herders, but here we learned that the hereros were also, some of them, crop farmers. So your job here is to differentiate, to see the difference between the crop farmers, the group of the hereros that were crop farmers, and then see how the hereros who were herders lived. That's your first question, the first job. And then your second question is, why do you think men and women had different jobs in the farming communities? Why you think women had to take care of kids and gather some crops, and then the men had to do hunting? Miss Luango here wants to hear your opinion, but also based on what we spoke of in today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Please complete the classwork.